This meeting is being recorded.
All right. Good evening and welcome to Showtime's Power Hour this evening. Tonight, our speaker is Showtime's president. We have Kathy Smith, who is going to be with us this evening. Kathy has been in Toastmasters since 2015, and she earned her DTM in 2020. She's currently serving as Showtime's club president, as I said, and is the Ironwood Area 6 director. She is also a nominated candidate for the Ironwood Division Director. So bear that in mind when you go forward. Kathy is also working in 4 of our Pathways program paths, and she has presented in prior Showtime workshops. So this evening, she is presenting on a topic that we all know and love. Keep calm and talk on. I present Kathy Smith.
Well, thank you for that wonderful introduction, Marilyn. And I'm a little bit scared about how much you know about me, but that's okay. I'm an open book, let's say. Well, it's so nice to see so many of us here. I don't see one sad person out there. That's very nice to see. No sad people. The fear of public speaking, that's been around since cavemen have been around, and it's been around forever. And it seems to be more prevalent now because there is so much focus on speaking in public, these online type of programs, and Toastmasters has gone very much to the online program. So it's really a focus of everyday life. Now, I did some research about the fear of public speaking, and that is called, in the parlance, glossophobia. Glossophobia is the fear of public speaking. Now, I was reading about this, and it's the number one fear people have is the fear of public speaking. Number 2 is death. Okay. Number 3 is something, but I was looking at this, I thought, okay, fear of public speaking. I can understand people are hesitant, a little bit fearful of speaking in public, but death, it's before death, before spiders, snakes, fire. I say at most fear of public speaking is number 5 in my own personal book, but there are others out there who it's a strong fear of. And I also see it in increments. I think most people in Toastmasters, now first off, if you have a severe case of glossophobia, more likely than not, you have not joined Toastmasters, because your great fear is to speak in front of people. So it probably, if you are in Toastmasters, took a lot of gumption on your part or whomever you have as a mentor to get you to come join Toastmasters. But there's a smaller group, a larger group, but smaller fear. Those are the people who say, oh, God, I don't like to speak in front of people. It makes me nervous. I'm going to foul up and I'm going to make a mistake and all this. That's who we're going to focus on tonight. It's those people who it's a fear, but it's very workable. We can work around it. We can find a solution. Now, you wonder, why are people afraid of public speaking? What is it that makes them afraid of public speaking? And 2 of the main proponents, I would say, or issues with public speaking is, one is a fear of failure. People are afraid to fail. And number 2 is the fear that those people that they're talking with or at are going to ridicule them. I want to stop right here and tell you, we're in Toastmasters. If you're brand new, like you've been in it a year, I believe, you are never a failure in Toastmasters. There'll be good days and there'll be bad days. There'll be good speeches and there'll be bad speeches. You're never a failure when you try. So keep that right in the top of your head. You're never a failure in Toastmasters. Secondly, No one in Toastmasters will ever ridicule your speaking. They're there to learn from you. They're there to enjoy your speech. They want you to succeed. So those two issues about the fear of public speaking, the I'm going to fail and people are going to laugh at me, get those out of your head right now, because that is not what Toastmasters is all about. So please keep in mind there. Now there's some physical symptoms too. We all have them. I have them tonight, right now. I've had them all day long. As it's gotten closer and closer, you get the butterflies in your stomach. You get a little bit nervous in your mouth, and you can't talk. Your mouth goes dry. Like right now, my mouth is going dry. And all these, your blood pressure goes up. But you know what? You can just sit there, and relax, take a couple deep breaths, and carry on. Remember, stay calm and talk on. So, what do I want you to take away with you tonight? The three key things I want you to take away tonight. Number one, enjoy the trip. Toastmasters is a great place to, as we were talking earlier, meet people, enjoy public speaking, be in a very supportive group of people. You will not find a better group of people than you will here in Toastmasters. So enjoy the trip, first off. I hope you gain confidence in yourself. I want you to go away from this meeting saying, you know what, I can do this. Okay, I might not be great. I might not be the best public speaker ever, but I can do it. I can really do a speech, pat myself on the back and say, hey, you know what? I did that. I did okay. And also, most importantly, my motto is have fun. Just enjoy it. This is not rocket science, people. This is Toastmasters. You're paying Toastmasters to be here. This is not a job. Just enjoy the trip and have a good time as you're going along. Now, there are some who will say, well, okay, I'm going to stay in the back of the room and I'm going to be the all counter. Those of us in Toastmasters know what the all counter does. And I'm going to sit here and I'm going to all count everybody's speeches. Or I'm going to sit back here and I'm going to be the ballot counter or whatever. So you're avoiding everything you can do to avoid speaking. But avoidance is not good. Avoidance reinforces the fact that you're afraid of public speaking. You've got to get out there and do it. Sign up for that speech slot, sign up for it, prepare for it, and get out there and do it. So I encourage you to just start little. Start with a small. You can start with a small icebreaker speech or whatever you want to do. Just you don't have to give the greatest speech ever. Just start small. So there is the negatives. That's the negative part. So we're going to go to the positive part of the evening. Okay, we're going to set a date. We're going to have a date in the future when we're going to give a speech. Most of the time you have to set your date in the future when you want to speak in your club. I'll say, okay, I'm 6 weeks from now, I'm going to give a speech. Great. Now, don't think that, oh my God, I'm going to die in 6 weeks. I'm going to fail. People are going to laugh at me. No. You think, okay, I am going to have a great time getting ready for the speech. I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to enjoy the moment. I'm going to enjoy the activity. And when I'm done, I'm going to say, way to go, Kathy, you did okay. Because your greatest cheerleader is you. So ready to start planning our speech. What do we start with first? Well, first thing you need to look at is what do you want to talk about? You have pretty much of an open book here in Toastmasters. You can talk about most anything. You can talk about things that are familiar to you, your family, your hobbies, your travel, or you can do a little bit more research and find something that's a little bit more deeper, something you don't know a whole lot about. But keep in mind that when you're planning your topic, you also got to think in mind of your audience. Who will you be giving the speech to? Because it's very important that you keep your audience. Your audience is number one. This is not about you now. This is about your audience and how they're going to react. I remember a few years ago, I was in a club that I'm unfortunately not in anymore. And I was going to do a speech. I was trying to do a speech on something I didn't know anything about. So I went to the bookstore and I found a book on Wicca, witchcraft. thought, well, that's kind of fun. I'll do a speech on witchcraft. So I bought the book and I started reading it, making notes, and I was getting ready to do my speech. And then I went to a couple of the meetings after I bought the book. And I looked around at the group of people in that meeting, at the basic age level, maybe the basic economic level, I didn't know, I don't know how much people make per, but you kind of get a feeling for what people are like in the club that you're going to speak at. And after a couple of meetings, I thought, no, I don't think I should give a speech about Wicca to this group. I don't think it's going to go over well. I think I might offend some people. And so I to this day have yet to get that speech, but look out, Showtime is coming ahead. So I'm going to give that speech. So we'll like Wiccan speech. So pick your topic with your audience in mind. Keep that in mind. Keep out in mind how much research you're going to need. Do you have time to do the research that you want to do for your speech? If it's something familiar to you, like your family or a place that you've traveled to, or in my case, I enjoy reading an awful lot, that's not going to take me so much time to research. It's going to take me a little bit less time. But if it's something new, like that Wicca I talked about, or whatever it might be, give yourself the time to research it. So think about what you want to say and what you want to research about. Also keep in mind too that if it's a broad subject, you might have to tighten the focus a little bit, because on average, Toastmaster speeches are 5 to 7 minutes on average. There's some that are longer, but most of them are 5 to 7 minutes. It's very difficult to get a speech on molecular fusion in a 7-minute speech. It's just not going to work. So keep the focus of your speech. Keep in mind your audience, the research time you have, and the time you'll have to give your speech, because all those things are very important when you're looking at giving a speech. Okay, so now I've got my speech topic. I've picked my topic, got an idea of my audience. Okay, I want to start getting my speech ready. This is where you're going to get into the nitty-gritty. I think some of the most fun you're going to have. So first off, you do your research, you make an outline. Now I'm probably dating myself, but back in the day when we used to study, we used to have to make outlines of what we were going to write about. And I still think that's a good idea. Make yourself an outline of the speech that you want to give. You can do it on paper, you can do it on the computer, on tablet, in your head, however you want to do it, but make an outline of what you want to say. And then you have your outline, and get yourself a nice cup of coffee, sit down, get yourself comfortable, and write your speech out. Write it out. Just write it out. Just go wherever you go. Just take off and write your speech out. So here we are. We've written our speech and we're ready to go. So let's do a couple of practices. So first off, we need to do a first practice. So what I do, this is what I do. Not everybody does it the same, but I find this works for me. First off, I get that speech in my head. I say in my head what I want to say. I go over it and over and over in my head. And then I actually sit in a room or sit in my bedroom or sitting out in the living room, and I give the speech. I'm not giving it to anybody. I'm not giving it in front of a camera. I'm just sitting there, just giving the speech. I'm a little bit odd, but I just give the speech. I'm driving to work, I'll give the speech, wherever it might be. Now, the reason you want to do this is that you want to familiarize yourself with your topic. So when you're ready to give your speech, you're familiar with it enough that you can give your speech, but do not try to memorize your speech, especially if you're hesitant about speaking in public. Because if one little thing goes wrong, it's going to throw you off, and I'm afraid that it's going to, I hope it doesn't, but it might just make it so you get very rattled. You might not be able to finish your speech. You might get really disappointed in yourself. So familiarize yourself with your speech. Just do it over and over again. Now we're going to get to our first dress rehearsal. This is where you want to get a group of friends or family. You can do it in front of a camera. And oh, I think I have a question. Yes, okay. Good question, Bobby. We're going to get there. Yes, yes, yes. Bobby's ahead of me. Bobby's asking, is it good to use bullet points? This is my speech. It's all bullet points. You can't see it. This is all bullet points. Nothing but bullet points. I just messed my speech up, but there's nothing but bullet points here. Yes, do bullet points and put them on cards or on a piece of paper and just have them sitting inside. When you have to refer to them, refer to them. But bullet points are really important. It narrows your focus. I've seen so many people go in to give a speech, and some of these are not brand new members. They're people who've done these speeches for a while. Only have the speech all written out, and they'll put it on the dais in front of them, and then they go down, and then they read their speech.
Kathy,
Now,
we
yes.
do have a couple of really good comments that I think
Okay.
could share.
Okay.
Connie, actually, during when you were talking about the subject that you choose being appropriate for your audience,
Right.
Connie had posted up that she had just signed up to do a roast for David Hopper, and congratulations on that, Connie. Your message is hitting home. I asked myself, what did I get myself into? I love your tagline. I will remember. And then
I'm waiting for that.
Bobby shared something about her very first speech, and I thought that this was really great. Her very first speech was on stage in junior high, and she took a deep breath, but she forgot to breathe out.
Oh,
so she
that's a bullet point.
Sounding like she had a really high voice. So yes, breathing is good.
Breathing is good. Breathing is a good. It gets you to the end of your speech. And remember to breathe. Yeah, very good points. And you know what? This was very good points. I'm sorry I didn't see the hands. I'm not focusing too well. So, thank you very much, ladies. Both of them excellent points. Breathing is a really good point. So here we are. We're writing our speech out. We've said it to ourselves. We've got it out loud. Possibly got our bullet points ready. Bullet points I have them a little bit later on, but they're important to have bullet points. It's probably a good time to do them when you're doing your first run through. So your first run through. Here you want to try and find some people that will help you. It could be your family. It could be fellow Toastmasters. If you don't have anybody, you can do it in front of a mirror. You can do it in front of your dog or your cat. I prefer dogs to cats because cats get bored and they don't say they're not interested. They'll just walk away and you've lost your audience. So I would do it in front of a dog because dogs think you're wonderful, whatever, and they'll look at you with those big brown eyes and they're in love. So, but if you have to, teddy bears, whatever you have to do, just get in front of a group and give your first run through of your speech in front of a person or an animal or a mirror. Now, yes.
I just want to add some. You're on the great string here. Don't forget that you can use your own Zoom account and record yourself. So that also is a really big.
Yeah, very good. Well, that was very good. Yes, Zoom is very good. And Zoom is in this day and age, especially in like my home, not my home, but Showtime, we're all online all the time. We're not hybrid, we're an online team. The only thing I would be a little bit cautious of on Zoom is I don't like myself on camera. I don't like to take a picture. I don't like to, if I'm in a group picture, I try to get behind the tallest guy in the group, you know. Don't get distracted. Now, I was on a call the other day over the weekend. I was listening to, I can't remember who it was, but I was on a Zoom call. And all I could think about was, oh God, I got to get my hair cut. And so I was looking on the Zoom call, oh, I got to get my hair cut real bad. I still haven't done it, but I still got to get my hair cut. That's what I was thinking about on the Zoom call. So Zoom is important. It's a great tool. Just try not to get distracted by it. But yes, you can have your own Zoom account. I have one or two, I think now. I have a couple on one each computer. So they're very good to have to practice, and especially, you know, get yourself lined up, make sure you're looking where you need to look, that type of thing. And so, yeah, Zoom accounts are very good, but just be cautious that you're not becoming distracted by what might be going on in Zoom. So
Abraham has also offered a suggestion on your breakdown. So
Okay.
I'll make this very quickly. He actually says that he memorizes his introduction and his conclusion, and then he can visualize 2 or 3 other paragraphs in the speech to kind of keep him on track.
Exactly. That's exactly what you want to do. Boy, you guys are over my shoulder when I was writing out my speech, because these are all points that I'm done. Good job. Okay. These are good points. You just think ahead of me. Visualize your speech. Boy, I couldn't have said it better myself. Actually, I didn't say it better myself, but visualize your speech. Opening is most important. Closing is most important. Start with a great strong opening. Start with a strong closing, or have a strong closing. Visualize the center of your speech. Have your points in your head. Okay, this is what I want to say. You should be familiar enough with the topic or what you want to speak about that you can do it without any other type of issue, any crutch. Bullet points are very important to have just in case. Another thing I want to get to here while we're here is the topic of PowerPoint. Now you'll notice I didn't have PowerPoint for this speech. I started doing a PowerPoint and thinking, okay, I'm going to do it real pretty. I'm going to do this PowerPoint. Then I thought, no, I don't want to do it. You have to be careful. PowerPoint is a great tool, and when it's used properly, it's wonderful. It's fantastic, wonderful tool. But be careful not to become dependent on it for your speech. Know your speech just in case the PowerPoint doesn't work. I've seen this happen so many times. People get ready to do their speech and they want their PowerPoint up there, and they get up there and for some reason it doesn't work. I've been in places where there was no electricity. They couldn't. It was too far from the electricity. They couldn't plug it in, or the computer in, or for some reason it didn't work, and these people were lost. They couldn't figure out what they're going to do about their speech, and they really muddled through it. They weren't very confident at all. So PowerPoint is good. Be very careful not to depend on it. Know your topic, know your speech. In case something goes wrong, you're fine. You still can do it. That's very important. I like I say, I'm ambivalent towards PowerPoint. I think it's, like I say, I think it's wonderful. I have never, in recent years, in my last 2 or 3 years at least, ever given a speech with PowerPoint, because your audience is there to hear you, hear your thoughts and your comments, and not to watch a film, watch a little slideshow. Because if you're like me, first off, I can't see the letters that much, so I'm trying to read it, and then they change the slide. Just a second, I haven't finished that last slide before. So be cautious about that. And that's when you also want to take your audience into mind. Think about your audience. Will they be able to follow along in the PowerPoint well enough? So I know some people really love it and some people use it and they do a great job of it. I'm just not one of those people. I don't use a lot of PowerPoint. But when you're doing your speech, be ready with it just in case, but know your speech without it. When you're doing your first dry run, time yourself. I always suggest that when say if you're doing a 7-minute speech, plan your speech to end about 6 minutes, 20 seconds, something like that. Just in case you have a hiccup or whatever. You do get a few extra seconds after the end of your 7 minutes, but give yourself a little leeway. Don't try, especially if you're kind of new, you're kind of getting into it, give yourself a little extra leeway, especially, or if you're doing a new topic, something you've never given a speech about before, give yourself a few extra seconds just in case. Don't try and fill in exactly 7 minutes, because something might happen and you're going to go over, and then you're in trouble another way. So try and time it. Zoom is also a good point for recording for pacing. Are you talking too fast? Are you talking too slow? Can people understand you, what you're saying? Are you pronouncing the words correctly? So if you use Zoom for a test run, play it back to you. Play it back to yourself, not you. Play it back to yourself, and really listen. Be objective. Be critical of what you're seeing. Pacing is very important. I was in a meeting one morning, and this girl came in to give her speech, and it was about a 7-minute speech, and she must have put in 15 minutes of material in that 7-minute speech. She went so fast at the very end, and I had to sit on my hands because at the very end, she said, "Are there any questions?" And all I could hear in my brain was, "What did she just say? I have no idea what she said." So watch your pacing so that you take a few seconds, a little bit better than I have done tonight about breaks, but take a few seconds between subjects, between points, and just, just make a talking point. Just as you're talking, just talking. Now, if you talk really slow, well, then you probably have to pick it up a little bit, but try not to rush through it. So you want to check your timing. You want to check your how you look on the screen, how you're coming across virtually. If you're in a club that's in person or hybrid, well, that's a little bit different set of rules, but the same rules apply. You still want to be able to understand what you're saying and to, look at the audience and make sure that you're using the same type of rules. Hybrid is kind of interesting. I'm in a hybrid club, and I see all the people in the office in person, but I keep on forgetting about the poor people on the screen. You also got to make sure you bring them into the meeting, because quite often in a hybrid club, you're focused right on the people right in the room with you. Don't forget about the guys who are sitting out there in the screen saying, "Do you know me?" Did you have a question, Marilyn?
Oh, I apologize. No, Connie had just said she had to leave.
Oh,
So I was
bye.
waving by.
Yeah, sure. We'll get off subject there, but yeah, it's been crazy. We're all looking forward to Saturday being over. Okay, so you've rehearsed and you've done this, and you're all ready to give your speech. I'm going to say something here that's not in any of the information I read, not in anything I've ever seen before, but I find it works for me, and it might work for you. Now I've got my speech written. I've got it up here in my head. I'm pretty comfortable with it. I've got my little bullet points. I'm ready. I know what I want to do. I put it aside. Just put it away. Don't look at it. Go out to dinner. Go watch a movie. Go read a book. Just do something to get away from that speech for a while. Now this can be sometimes with me, it's usually a couple of days before I'm ready to give a speech. I'll just put it away and not even look at it anymore. Uh, just refocus your energies for a little while. Just ease off, just rest. Because if you're getting too uptight about it, it's not going to go good for you. That's what I do. Just ease off. Just back off. And another thing, which is not controversial, but it's probably pretty something some people don't think about, is be authentic to yourself. Don't try and be the world's greatest orator, the world's greatest speaker, because we all know who they are, and they're good enough. They're unfortunately not in Toastmasters anymore. If you watch some of these politicians and some of these pundits, and you watch a couple of the recent presidents we've had, not some of them, not all of them. I won't mention any names, but there's some that I couldn't listen to. But you listen to a few of them, and they really know. A comedian, they really know their stuff, but they practiced for years to do this, and they know what they're doing. Don't try and be them. Don't get up here and say, "I am going to be the next," who am I thinking? Eleanor Roosevelt. I'm going to be Eleanor Roosevelt and give the greatest speech of my life. Well, you're not Eleanor Roosevelt. And she grew up in that type of environment, and that's how her life was for her entire life. So don't be Eleanor Roosevelt. Be you. Be the best you can be. And that's what we want to hear. We don't want to hear we want to hear Eleanor Roosevelt. We'll turn on the old movies and tapes and things because we'll see her there. So there we go. We're looking at our first speech. Now we're coming to the close. About ready. We've done our speech. We made it through, and we're about ready to wrap it up. End with a strong sentence or strong paragraph, or strong couple of sentences. And then when you're done, and people are clapping for you, whichever way they might clap, and take a moment to say to yourself, "Darn it, I did it. I did a dang good job. I'm very happy with myself. I'm very proud of myself." Pat yourself on the back and enjoy that moment, because probably another 6 weeks you'll be doing it again, and better every time you do it. Do not avoid speaking. Just speak every chance you get. Long speeches, short speeches, whatever it might be. Check other clubs. If you really want to get into this, maybe your club is kind of limited in how many speakers they can do per night. Check with other clubs. They might have openings to where you can come in and give a speech and get some great feedback. That's another thing on feedback. Now, feedback evaluations is not criticism, okay? The only reason you get feedback and evaluations is for you to improve and try to become the best you can be. So at the beginning, I mentioned how people are afraid that they're going to be criticized. Feedback and criticism are two totally different things, and feedback and evaluations are there for you. Criticism is there for the person who's giving the comment because they want to make sure that they're heard. They're not doing anything for you at all. But feedback evaluations are there for you. They're extremely important. Take the tips that you're given, and next time you give a speech, keep them in mind and move forward. Now, since you've all done my speech for me, we'll open this up for questions. Is there any questions, comments? Anybody else have any ideas that they would like to set forth?
Kathy, I just want to thank you before we get
You're
the input, because I want to encourage everybody to share your ideas and ask your questions with Kathy.
Or something that's happened to you. Maybe when you've given a speech, something funny or something you might say, hey, what could I have done better with that? You have a great group of people here. I'm in a club with 4 of these people I'm in a club with, and so they've got some great knowledge here. We know how many years Bobby's been in Toastmasters, so she has great knowledge. So does Marilyn, and so does Robin, and so does Jimmy over here, the quiet guy in the corner. He knows a lot. Ibrahima, ladies and gentlemen, the floor is now yours. Please ask away, comment, however you like to do. This is your part of the meeting.
Lena, yeah, I was going to say, I think that's on Lena's hand.
Yeah. So thank you, Kathy, so much. I mean, I got to learn a lot from you. And the reason why I joined this meeting is because I want to take every opportunity to become a better communicator. So definitely I've made a note of a few points that you said. You would have seen me writing it down. Yeah. So one thing that I wanted to share with all of you is I tried to make sure that I just get through those first few seconds of my speech, because that is the one that I really struggle with. And if I am able to see myself through those first few seconds, then I think I've kind of, got into that pace and I'm able to handle the rest of the speech. But that first few seconds, so I try to just do whatever I can to make me get through those. So that was one thing I wanted to share with all of you. And I also had a question, Kathy. So I wanted to know about when you're using quotes in your speech, is it okay to write it down and read out those quotes? Because that's one thing which I struggle.
Quotes.
I mean, quotes.
Quotes are the one thing you have to do. You have to make sure you do them right. So you probably have to write them down. I know a few people who can have them in their head. I don't, unfortunately, can remember a quote that well. So that's the one thing. If you're quoting someone, make sure you get it correct, because that's their words, not yours. So make sure you get that correct.
Yeah. So that's what I was. The last speech I used a quote and I wrote it down and read it. So I was not sure if that's fine, because I can't memorize. I didn't want to fumble with it. So that's fine. Okay.
That's totally different. Yeah, that's something you should do. That's the one time you should write it down completely.
Okay. And make sure that you give credit.
Yeah. Thank you, Kathy.
Sure. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're all here. Thank you very much. Anybody else?
Did I see you having something you wanted to say? Maybe not.
Ask.
Bobby?
Did you ask someone if they had something to say?
Yeah, I was asking if I thought I had seen Ibrahim raise his hand.
Okay.
No, I apologize. No, I didn't. Sorry. I just got excited.
He was laughing at me.
I knew that there was a point where he was actually adjusting his shades. I knew that.
Yeah,
And I
no.
don't blame you. So,
I'd
Okay,
like to say
Jimmy.
something. You made a good point about PowerPoint, and I've been trying to develop the practice of not using words on PowerPoint, but using PowerPoint like bullets. But
I
instead
saw
of
that.
bullets,
Yeah.
I just use a picture to represent my next topic.
Mhm.
So nobody has to read, and the picture's large, it's easy to see. Nobody has to squint your eyes, and it works the same as having bullet notes someplace. It reminds you what the next topic is. And even between pictures, you can put a black slide
Uh-huh.
so that you just introduce the slide when you begin the topic, and then you go to the black slide. So people aren't looking at the slide while you're talking about it,
Right.
but they'll remember that in their mind. And that's one thing I've read, and I've been practicing that.
Yeah, I think I saw you one of your last speeches where you did that, and that was really interesting. That really, it kind of, in a way, refocuses you, because you were thinking, okay, I'm going to get I've been listening. Okay, I'm going to get a PowerPoint. Oh, it's a picture. Oh, that's kind of neat. And then you're back into it again. So yeah.
well, and
think
I liked the way that Jimmy had done it, because you don't fall into the PowerPoint trap of reading your own slides. You know,
Yeah.
everybody in your audience is probably, literate. They can probably read,
Yeah. Oh, maybe.
So yeah, but the pictures and the blank screen with the slide was a really good
And it
idea.
can work really well if somebody's like on their phone using Zoom, because they're not going to be able to see the text.
Yeah.
Even if you have large
Right.
text, they may not be able to read it on their phone with Zoom, but they can see the picture.
Yeah.
Right. The last computer, the old computer I was using, I don't know what screen it is, but probably one of the smallest screens you can get on a Mac. And it was just a little tiny thing. And when they used to put PowerPoints up, I went, I couldn't see a thing. It's same with chat. When they put things in chat, I couldn't see it on that screen. And so I just nodded my head because I couldn't see anything. Got my big computer now, so I can see things better. But yeah, I like that picture idea. I'm going to try that. I might steal your idea. I'm going to use, that's a good, be nice to have a whole speech of nothing but PowerPoint pictures. Oh, that'd be interesting. So, great job. Anyone else have any thoughts or ideas?
Hey, Kathy, this is Ibrahima.
Yeah, go ahead.
Great speech. Thank you for all the tips.
Oh, I'm glad it was okay. Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to tomorrow night event. I watched your video on YouTube. I think you solved it great. You did a great job for 7.5 minutes. So kudos, keep it going. But
yeah,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I saw
Sorry.
that myself on video, but go ahead, Ibrahim, what you were saying.
Kathy, it's all about the content. It's all about the mission.
Right.
But I just would to this subject. I thought you did a great job today. Thank you very much.
Right.
I have a different approach. I usually like to be comfortable. I want to come strong. So that means I want to memorize my intro. Really, I want to come strong and hit really. Obviously, I think about the audience, like you said. I'll try to put it together. I think about it for 2 to 3 weeks. I kind of have a really visualize and try to work on the flow. But I need a strong intro, literally staring at the people, the camera, or making sure everybody is looking at me. I'm looking at them. I'm telling them I'm here. This is my passion. This is my time. And then also do that for the conclusion. And then in between, I sort of just see them as bullet point. Okay, I need to talk about my area director role. I need to talk to them about the first instance where I was a VP of education. What was my experience like? What did I learn? Did I fail? What was some of my first TLI? What was it about? So I kind of just see them as bullet point 2 to 3, and then that's my approach. But what I like about this is last week, a new Toastmaster asked me, hey, how do you memorize your speech? I told them, look, I'll try to find some information for you, but this is how I do it. I memorize the introduction one day. I don't memorize the whole speech one day. No, it's the intro one day. I forget about it. Then the body, again, I kind of memorize, but I really don't. And then the conclusion another day. So, and then I practice a lot. I don't use Zoom. I use my phone. I use my family. One of my proudest moments is my 9-year-old. A few months ago, memorized my introduction. It was about 2.5 minutes, but I rehearsed so many times. And then I can call him now. He'll say, "Unbelievable."
One good thing about doing it with your family, especially your kids, is that they'll be honest. They'll tell you what you missed, what you did wrong, what didn't sound right. But yeah, it's great. It's wonderful. But you have a new Toastmaster coming around.
Yeah, he
coming
knows
along.
Socrates. And then the speech started with the secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. He says, this is a quote from a great philosopher, Socrates. And I believe this is a secret to living life to the fullest. And then he goes, Mr. and Madam Toastmasters. I say,
Oh, I wish you had that on tape. That's great. That's
I
wonderful.
do. I'll show you next time I'll see you. I have it.
That's wonderful. Oh,
But anyway,
great.
great job. Thank you.
That's wonderful.
Anyone else with comments or questions? Bobby?
Yes, so thank you, Ibrahima, for sharing your passion, because it makes me think of one of my very first speeches that I ever did was about NAFTA. So this was a really long time ago. And I did all this research and I did this speech. And one of the comments that my evaluator made was about to try and talk about something that I'm more familiar with. And that was one of the speeches that I learned the most from, because I find my best speeches are the ones where I'm excited about the topic, where I have passion about that topic. And then what happens is that I'm not worried about myself. I'm really trying to get the message across to the audience, and it makes all the difference in the world. But I had to learn that the hard way, of course, by doing speeches that I really didn't care all that much about until I finally figured it out so many years later.
Yeah, that's good, Shamari. One thing about doing a speech about something is that when I was first in Toastmasters, this was 7.5 years ago or so, I joined a club at work, and it was about 2 or 3 months before. We used to have 2 speech seasons a year. We had a fall and a spring, and it was about 2 months or so before the fall Toastmasters conference. And I didn't know, but I was told by my compatriots in my club, Kathy, you're going to give a club speech at the area conference. I said, okay. Okay, whatever. And so I gave a speech about a funny instance at a summer vacation, something funny that happened on a summer vacation, called the bear speech. And I've given that speech a few times. And last year, for the division humorous speech contest, I was in the division level. I was talking to somebody. He was a division director, and I've known him for quite a while. And I said, well, I hear you're going to do a speech today, Kathy. He said, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm doing a speech about something that happened on summer vacation in Yellowstone Park. And he said, oh yeah, I've heard that speech. I went, oh God. So I've never given that speech since, because I guess I maybe overused it. But that yeah, I didn't win division. I was just blew me out of the water. He didn't mean anything by it at all, but it's just the way I took it. It's like, I think maybe I've given that one too many times, so mix it up a little bit. So anyway, that was the other extreme, when you know something and you use it too much. So
yeah, I think it's important to remember sometimes that the speech that you're giving, that you're delivering, is not for you.
Yeah.
It's always for your audience. You have a call to action, you have a message, you have something you want to share. So it's never for you. And if you remember that, and you're passionate about sharing whatever it is that you want to share with your audience, and I think that makes all the difference in the world.
Right. Exactly.
Excellent point.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Anything else, folks?
Yeah, I'd like to go back just quickly to the question about PowerPoints. It seems to me that maybe you need to find a happy medium, because I've listened to several speeches where people have had a lot of points in them, or maybe there's steps we should follow or whatever, and they just run through it. And I'm much more of a visual learner. as opposed to auditory, if it can go in one ear and out the other. So I don't want slides that write it all out into huge paragraphs or novels or whatever, but sometimes I'd like to see at least some headlines or what are the major topics there. So I've told people, I think your speech might have been a little better if you could have reminded me as we went along.
All right. I don't remember. I'm sure you guys won't remember because I think all of you, except for a couple of exceptions, have been in Toastmasters longer than I have. When I first joined, wasn't there something about not using any type of PowerPoint in your speech? You had to give it yourself, or was that just something I just adapted by not using
Well,
PowerPoint?
they used to recommend that if you couldn't get off the reading of it, that you shouldn't use it.
Right.
But as far as using PowerPoint, no, we've used PowerPoint at TLI, at conference, at every place. It's learning how to use it to
Properly.
the best benefit.
Right.
And I think it's kind of someplace between Jimmy's and Robin's point.
Yeah.
That it's a good
So we need
thing to
pictures
have.
with captions. Pictures with captions. Is what we need.
Yeah, I just
It depends what it is. If a picture works, then that's the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
I just have a point to add there. I think it would help if the topic is more something where you're explaining a process or explaining a concept. I think there it definitely helps to have those bullet points at least on a PowerPoint, because that was a feedback I received in one of my speeches. It was a research and presentation speech that I did, and it was on hummingbirds. So I had a few theoretical concepts or some facts that I was presenting, but I didn't have a PowerPoint. So that was one feedback I got, that maybe you could have just those key points on a PowerPoint. So I think
you just need a picture of a hummingbird with a fact. Fabi, I think you had a question.
Yeah, well, a comment really. Kathy, in terms of using PowerPoint or not using PowerPoint in a Toastmaster speech, you might have heard that as advice for contest speeches, because in all my years, I've only seen one contest speech where the presenter used PowerPoint. And I have to say, it didn't go very well because there was a bit of a technical problem. So he ended up going over time. It was a good speech, but the PowerPoint, he could have done it without the PowerPoint, and it ended up being a distraction. So
you might be 100% correct, because when I joined, it was right before that speech contest season, and I think that's when they said, don't just it's not any periphery things, because
I'm wondering if Jimmy's got a comment or if he has a question.
Peace.
I've seen a speech contestant in the in-person contest before COVID. I've seen two people use PowerPoints and it went over great.
It depends. Yeah, it depends on whether it's something you can use.
PowerPoints, what you're talking about, and how it really supports your speech and what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think it's like we have all said, it's a great tool. We just need to know how to use it, and when to use it, when not to use it, and when not to become dependent on it. I think there's a good tutorial on the Showmasters website about PowerPoint. Is there not? Didn't somebody give a presentation on PowerPoint in Showtime? I think there was. If not, it's something we have to give for our next I think there was something about PowerPoint. We'll have to look back on it. But
okay. Anybody else?
I just quickly want to say, I think this is why we continue to come to Toastmasters. Keep working, because there is no perfect solution, right?
No.
You want to write a speech, you have to think about your audience. You have to think about, okay, do I need to add visual stuff, or do I need to just go with what I think is right, your gut? But again, just so many vocal variety, hand gestures. You have to adapt to the technology. You have to memorize a speech. That's why it's never perfect. Maybe in 7 minutes, you can have 4 or 5 good minutes. But yet there is just so much to learn. And
but careful that last minute,
right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, as long as that last minute is great, you're good.
Yeah, last minute, good.
Right. I mean, it's that's what the beauty on all this. It's never perfect. You give it a great effort. You keep learning. You keep pushing, and that's why this is a life. It's just great. So,
And like I always say when I do anything, when I write anything, I'll leave with this comment. Just be sure you enjoy the journey, enjoy the time, and don't let it get you down. Have fun, take input from everyone, and have fun. Enjoy the journey. Thank you,
Hey,
everybody.
Angie, I'm gonna put you on the
Uh-oh.
line here because we haven't heard from you very much. What did you think? And have you got any questions or comments for us?
No questions, but this was fantastic because, as you said, it's a journey, it's a process. We can always learn, we can always challenge ourselves, and I really appreciate the points that you made tonight. Very, very good. In fact, I'm sitting here thinking, next speech, can I do this and that? So.
By the way, on the PowerPoint, if you wanted PowerPoint, we record these, so it'll be on our website, so you can watch it again and take notes in case you need to.
We have a YouTube channel, and
Yeah.
and all you have to do is go to YouTube and do a search for Showtime, and you will be able to find all of our power hours there. So,
And I'll give a little commercial. Those of you not in Showtime, come join us. We get the second and fourth Mondays of the month. We have our meetings. Everyone's welcome to come join us. We have usually 3 speeches a night. We have a lot of fun. You have a lot of really talented Toastmasters in that group, and me. So please come and join us, and we'll have a good time. So a week from next Monday.
the
Yeah, next Monday.
23rd. The 23rd is our next meeting.
Next
Yeah.
Monday.
6:30. Feel free to come and visit us.
Yeah.
And I got a quote for the
Bobby?
person that was asking about quotes. I think that was me that was asking about quotes. Is that right?
Lena was, yeah.
I've got a quote for you. I don't know who said this quote. I heard it a long time ago and I've heard it several times. But it's failure means next time I'll do better.
And Bobby, did you have something?
Yes, as long as we're giving plugs for Showtime, I want to throw out a plug because next month for our Power Hour, I will be the presenter.
That's right.
I've been studying the business of public speaking for close to 20 years now. And so next month, our Power Hour topic will be about getting the gig, some tips from professional speakers. So when you've given a whole bunch of speeches in Toastmasters and you feel like you're ready to step out and speak elsewhere, so how do you do it? How do you get started? How do you get an engagement?
And Lena, I'm going to help you out with that very question. We meet once a month, for Power Hour. And if you give me half a second, I'm going to put our website address up there, and it has a list of our upcoming workshops. So I'll put it in the chat and you can grab it from there. So,
Yes, we have something going on every Monday, except for the
Right.
first Monday in the month. We have 2 regular club meetings and then 1 or 2 Power Hour longer meetings. 2 when there are 5 Mondays in the month.
Yeah.
And you can access the Power Hour schedule, which is the Showtime Presents Workshop Series. You don't have to be logged in to access that. It's open to the public to see it.
That's how they roped me into it. I went to several of them and said, yeah, I need to join this group.
We're also,
well,
we're working on online presentation skills in Toastmasters because we believe that online meetings are here to stay. Some will be hybrid, but many will continue to be 100% online. So we've even added a functionary role called the virtual evaluator. So that's one of the things that makes us unique. Another thing that makes Showtime unique is the fact that every formal presenter gets 2 evaluations. And one focuses on the project criteria and the other focuses on higher level or, more advanced level feedback, or just even supporting further what the first evaluator has said.
And our free Toast host address is now in the chat. And there are 2 areas. All you have to do is go to the main menu and it'll take you right to the information about our workshops. All right, I am going to stop our recording. One moment.